So if you've been investing regularly every week or every month into individual stocks, maybe different ETFs, then you're about to save a lot of time because Lightyear, one of my most recommended brokers for UK and European investors, came out with a fantastic new feature called Plans, which basically helps you to group together all your various investments under one plan, so to say, and that way you really put your investments on autopilot. And that's exactly what I want to be going through in this video, show you inside the app how easy it is to set up those plans. And once you set it up, it basically will do the rest from there on. You just have to make sure you have enough money in your accounts and the rest will be done on your behalf. And that's really the power of automating your investments as much as possible to take out the friction. And those stock buys will get done and you're more diversified rather than just buying one or two stocks here and there. You really can build your own basket of stocks and ETFs you want to invest in. But seeing is believing. So let's jump over inside the Lightyear app, which I did make various videos about in the past. I really love the experience. The user interface is one of the cleanest ones I've actually ever seen out there. Really, really nice. I mean, such a joy to use this app. But anyways, we want to talk today about plans specifically. So once you are inside the app, what you want to do is go over to your portfolio and then just scroll down over here and you will see create plan. So let's jump into this. And then obviously you get a little introduction of what plans are. Just swipe your way through so you understand what it is and then click on get started. Now, before I go ahead and put a plan together, this is for demonstration purposes only. This is not investment advice or what you should be buying. I just want to show you how it actually works. You should do your own homework as to what you want to be buying. So the first thing is you want to obviously add your various investments to the plan, right? So you can choose from a watch list if you already have your own watch list set up. Otherwise, you can click on most popular stocks over here and then have a whole list of, obviously very popular stocks that people like to invest in. Or you also have most popular funds. So these are the various ETFs that are being listed over here on Lightyear. Or you can also just click on the search bar over here and look up any specific stock that you want to be investing in. And that's exactly the powerful feature and benefit of plans, that you can mix and match stocks and ETFs together. And that's what I really like. So let's go ahead and put in a couple of different ones. So let's start off with a very popular ETF, obviously the S&P 500 from Vanguard. So let's go ahead, click on plus over here, and that automatically, as you can see over here in top right, adds it to the plan. So we can go ahead and continue with some other ones. Again, another very popular ETF that people seem to be investing in. That's why it's also second most popular over here is an all-world ETF that's really diversified across the world. So let's add that one over here as well. And then some most popular stocks, right? So you can choose from any of those. I want to go ahead and add, for example, Amazon and Alphabet. But being from Germany and a car lover, I also want to add BMW. Again, not buying recommendations. I wouldn't actually buy it, but just to show you that you can also mix and match, stocks and ETFs from different markets, right? BMW being listed in Europe as a European company versus the other ones listed in the US. And that's totally fine. So you can click this over here as well. Let's say I'm happy with this, right? I could even add more if I want to, but let's say I'm happy. I can click on the top right over here, see all of them listed once again. I could unselect one if I wanted to, but in this case, I actually want to have it. So I'm going to go back into popular funds and add it. So I have the 5 back again and then click on continue with 5 investments. Boom. Now you have to give it a plan name. And that's also something I really like because you can have different plans, right? Maybe you want to have a plan with all tech stocks. So that would only invest in all the various tech stocks out there, right? US tech stocks. Then you might want to have a plan with only different ETFs, right? So you can really mix and match how you wish. You can have multiple plans, which I think, once again, is a very powerful feature that Lightyear is offering over here. So in this case, let's just go ahead, call it retirement fund, right? Because I'm a long-term investor. I'm not moving in and out of positions. But for many, you might want to invest for retirement. So let's call it retirement fund. And then we can scroll down from here. And that's very important. You want to, of course, ideally, I would recommend enable auto investment, because that way you make sure that your purchases are being done on a regular basis, right? That's the power of investing long term, not just whenever you feel like it or you have some money left at the end of the month, but you really do that consistently over a long period of time. And then obviously you want to choose how often you want to do it, weekly, every 2 weeks, or monthly. So that's up to you. I personally invest weekly. You might want to do it monthly. It's really, personal preference. But I think for most people, they might just be fine with monthly. And that's usually what I recommend whenever you do get your salary into your bank account. First thing, you want to make a bank transfer to your broker of choice. In this case, it might be Lightyear, from your bank to Lightyear. And then Lightyear can use those funds to invest into your own plan that you had set up for yourself. We want to say here how much you want to be investing. Let's say 200 euros. Again, it really depends on your abilities. If you're starting a career, it might be less. Later on in your career, it might be more. So it's really an individual question, but I just want to show you the mechanics of it, right? And then obviously you want to say, when is the first day you want to start investing? For some of you, it might be the end of the month. For some of you, the first of the month. So in this example, let's say the very first of every month, in this case, December 1, we want to start investing. Click on done and it will be confirmed. And I really like how they also remind you to make sure you have enough money to trigger those buying orders, right? Because if you set it up, but you don't actually have cash in your account, obviously Lightyear can't trigger the order. So they give you 2 options: a standing order, where you basically instruct your local bank of choice that you mostly use to do a monthly transfer into Lightyear, and then you're guaranteed to have the funds ready to be invested. Or of course, you could do that manually, which I don't think is ideal. But if you do once in a while, make a transfer into Lightyear, maybe a larger amount, and then use those funds until they're depleted. And once again, another transfer, you can do that as well. In this case, you can select cash. So in my case, I want to do that as I do have some funds sitting in my account right now. Right, so the auto investing part of it is set up, and we could do this previously already with Lightyear, but the new feature is that we can now invest into multiple different asset classes at the same time. And this is where we come to how we want to split our investments, right? Because you can see right now, we have now 5 different investments. In total, you have to have 100%. You want to make sure that 100% of those 200 euros are actually allocated to the various investments. And how you want to mix and match is once again really up to you. For example, I could say, maybe I don't want to have so much stocks. Well, you see right away, now I only have 80% allocated because it doesn't match up. In order to create a plan, you need to have 100% allocated. So that means I have to increase my allocation somewhere else. Maybe I want to invest more into the ETF. So let's increase for the S&P 500, another 10%, as well as the All World ETF. And boom, you see here, now it's 100% allocated. So it's really nice how you can mix and match. That's the power of plans, right? If you were previously setting up individual automated buys for different stocks and ETFs, it's really difficult to kind of allocate once you have more and more investments. Here I could have 10, 20 different investments into one plan, and then just allocate the percentage of how much of my money I want to go into each of those positions. So really, really nicely done. Very easy, user-friendly, as we know it from Lightyear. Now, of course, from here, I could add yet another investment if I wanted to. So just give you an example. If I want to add AMD also to the mix, you can see right away it has readjusted the various percentages. So it's also easy to edit later on. But let's actually remove AMD, and it goes back to a different kind of percentage. If I change it over here, you can see it doesn't work out. It doesn't let me to create the plan. So it's very easy. Just click on split evenly, and boom, it rebalances. Especially if you have more than 5, let's say 7 or 13 different investment classes, it might get a little bit tricky to find out which percentage you might have to allocate to each. So you can just click on split evenly if I wanted to. So it makes it really, really easy. And of course, you can also delete your plan if you change your mind. But in this case, we want to go ahead with it. So click on continue, and you get a nice quick summary of what the plan is all about and what you're going to be buying. Retirement fund, 5 investments at 200 euros a month. And it also shows you very nicely the orders are placed 30 minutes after the market opening. So it's obviously a market order, right? And it's 30 minutes after the opening, because usually when markets open, prices might be swinging a little bit more up or down, whichever direction. So here it's 30 minutes after the markets open that those buys do get triggered. It shows me we're buying with cash. It's auto investment enabled every first of the month. What I'm buying, I can click on this once again, see what I'm buying actually and investing in. Execution fee also very transparently highlighted. And the fees are exactly the same you would anyways be paying if you used Lightyear to make those purchases individually. So there's no difference in terms of cost that you would be having with plans. And in this case, you might actually be preferring a monthly investment schedule because that way you save a bit of fees. Conversion fees you also have, because right now I have euros in my account, and obviously we're going to be also buying here some US listed stocks in dollars. So that's where this is coming from. But the FX fee is 0.35%, which is really competitive. So I'm really happy with 28 cents. So the total order value is basically the total amount that I gave it, 200 euros minus the respective fees. And that brings the total cost to 200. I'm happy with this. So let's go ahead, click on confirm. Takes a second, and boom, the plan has been created. Right, and here we are inside my retirement fund. Well, it looks pretty sad right now because obviously it hasn't started investing yet. But over time, that would hopefully grow, if the investments do well, of course. But yeah, you would see how your retirement fund over here does over time. If you scroll down, you see the performance returns of all the individual holdings as well, which is nice. You can change the time period. You can see the recent earnings calls. Again, what I really love about Lightyear, how easy it is, right? If I wanted to listen in to Google, for example, Alphabet, I can click on it and boom, it starts playing. Really, really nice about the plan, how it's composed of, a nice summary. And of course, I can also click on edit over here and change anything I wish, right? I could maybe increase my monthly contribution. I could change what I'm paying with. I could add or remove investments that I wanted to. So really super simple and straightforward to use. And from here, if you wanted to, I could also trigger a buy order right now. So click on buy and then just say, I want to buy 100 euros worth of this plan. Click on preview. And then I could trigger that order right away. So let's actually go ahead and do this so you can see how it works. Confirm. Will take a second, and you can see how it buys all the various holdings. And boom, you see here what it bought. Actually, it's a little bit less. You can see because right now the US is still closed. So it hasn't bought Amazon and Alphabet yet because they will only open in around 20 minutes. So that should be triggered a little bit later. So you can see recent transactions. If I click into this, 3 from 5 have been bought. View orders, I can go into this and it still shows you, of course, here the pending orders. So simple to use. I mean, it couldn't be easier than that. So I really like that, how beautifully designed it is. I can have a breakdown of my holdings, my sectors, regional. So really a joy to use this interface. Right, so if I go back into my portfolio overview, and then you can see basically over here my cash. Now it's obviously a little bit less since I used some of it to make those investments. And then I scroll down, I have my investments. And I can see over here the retirement fund. Right from here, I could also have another fund. You could have multiple funds if you wanted to, or I can just click into the chart over here and see the breakdown of my various holdings in there, the insights also that I'm getting, the sectors, countries once again. So really visual, the total performance over here. And then I can click into this and once again get to the same screen I showed you before. So really as simple as it gets to automate your investments and combine and group various investments into one purchase that's done on your behalf. And you see at the bottom over here, the one pending. So if I click into this, once again, it shows me that those two stocks have not been ordered yet because the stock market in the US is still closed. And right now, the plans feature is available for general investment and business accounts. So if you're using an ISA, for example, right now, you cannot be using plans inside your ISA. And also keep in mind that you can add all fractional stocks and ETFs to your plan, and those will get bought automatically if you enable auto invest. Now you can also add non-fractional instruments to your plan, but in this case you have to buy those manually. They won't be triggered automatically. But the good thing is Lightyear keeps on adding more and more fractionalized instruments to the platform. There has been many more stocks and ETFs recently been added that are fractionalized, so I'm sure there will be even more to come in the future. And also right now there's no support for money market funds as part of your plan. And yes, you can also have multiple instruments in different plans. So let's say you have an AI plan that you want to invest in where NVIDIA happens to be part in. Then you have a retirement plan where NVIDIA is also part in. That's totally fine. And if that sounds exciting to you and you want to try out Lightyear for yourself, then either use the link down in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen. Or if you just signed up to Lightyear, you can also use the code KAI inside the app. And if you do, you can get a free fractional share or ETF up to 100 euros. But as always, please remember, this is not financial advice and investing does involve risks because the value of investments can either go down or as well up. So I think it's a brilliant move and feature that Lightyear recently added. If you've been using other stockbrokers, like for example Trading 212, you might be familiar with their concept, which is quite similar, called pies. Even though the name for me is a bit confusing, I prefer actually plans, to be honest, but they're quite similar in many ways. However, a big difference here with plans is that it's DIY. So you have to set up and manage your own plans. I do believe Lightyear might be adding pre-made plans in the future, but for the time being, this will be your job to set it up once. But once it's set up, it's basically investing on autopilot, which I absolutely love and only can recommend. And if you do still have any questions about Lightyear or plans in general, pop them in the comments down below. Happy to hear from you. Next up, check out this video over here. As always, thanks for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.